Hello, tomorrow marks exactly 3 months since I posted my first YouTube video for BookTube. This isn't a video offering YouTube or BookTube tips because I am still very much a beginner and by no means qualified to do that. But I did want to offer my honest thoughts on what the process has been like so far for me while it's still really new and fresh and kind of raw while I'm still sort of figuring things out. I'll be sharing what each step of the video making process has been like for me and also both the negatives and the positives of my journey so far. So I hope you'll join me. All right, initiation phase and just the experience of setting up the channel before I'd even filmed a video. I really enjoyed the creative part of the process. So coming up with a channel name, deciding what my thumbnail was going to look like. Sorry, not my thumbnail, my profile picture. And also just kind of deciding on the overall vibe and tone that I wanted for this channel. All of that was really fun for me. What I did not enjoy nearly as much was kind of just researching how YouTube works, figuring out all the tech stuff, how I was going to film these videos, what the setup was going to look like,
where to set up the actual camera, and by camera I mean my iPad, which I initially intended to have it be my phone, but that didn't work with my mic. That was a mic I just happened to have in my home already, and so then I had to research what was wrong with that and why it wasn't working, and then I tried my little mini iPad. That worked out.
Just all of these tiny details are kind of boring and annoying for me. So that part of the process I didn't enjoy nearly as much.
What makes a good thumbnail, how to make a thumbnail, how to use Canva well, what kind of editing software am I going to use, how to use that editing software.
I mean, the list goes on and on. So these are sort of the minutia of figuring out the technical aspects. That part is not fun, but at least not for me, but I knew that it was a necessary part of the process and I kind of expected that. So I hadn't posted any videos yet, therefore I had the time to kind of work through that. So that was fine. Now, in terms of actually making the videos, which is what we're here for, the first step is always like the ideation process. And that part I love. In fact, I kind of have too much. I have a list of ideas that I don't have time to get to. And the ideas keep coming faster than my ability to actually film those videos. The second part of the process, which is the scripting, I also really enjoy. So whether it's like a rough outline or a more detailed outline, either way, I really enjoy sitting down and kind of fleshing out what the video is going to be. My issue, the only issue that I have with this, is actually that I tend to overscript sometimes because I really love the writing process. And so when I sit down intending to just write a few rough bullet points, the bullet point becomes a sentence, and then the sentence becomes a group of sentences, and then I've got a paragraph, and before I know it, I have kind of a full, almost word for word script that is now very difficult for me to not want to say exactly the way that I wrote it down, but I don't want to say it exactly that way because I don't want to speak to the camera with an exact script and then sound unnatural. So that makes it difficult because I'm constantly trying to toe the line there. Next up is filming, like actually filming, and this is just the hardest part. I don't want to say I hate filming because that sounds rather negative, and hate is definitely too strong of a word, but I don't usually enjoy filming very much. There are a couple of videos I filmed where the process felt fairly smooth and easy-ish, and I felt like I completed the video in less time than I expected it would take me. So that's great, but usually it takes me much longer to film the video than I think it's going to. And part of the problem is that I overscript, and so then it's difficult for me to figure out how to do this without just doing too many takes of the same phrase or sentence over and over again. And that makes it just incredibly time consuming. This video, I very intentionally barely scripted. I really just have the subtopics listed that I want to run through, but I don't really have anything else written out for it. And this is a way of kind of testing myself here and seeing how this goes. But it is something that I find generally difficult because I start to ramble a little bit too much if I don't have very specific direction. And part of it too is just the fact that I'm speaking in front of a camera and there aren't real people there. After the fact, there are some real people that will watch my videos, not that many because it's still a very, very small channel. But in the actual moment of filming, it just doesn't feel natural. And I think a lot of people have that experience when they first start out. And it does get a little bit better, especially once you start to know certain followers and you assume there's a few people whose faces you can see that might be watching your video. That makes it a little bit easier, but it hasn't gotten to the point of feeling totally natural for me. I teach for a living, and so you would think that this would be easier than it is, but it's completely different to be in front of a crowd of like actual faces in real time that you can see their reaction in the moment. And it's also okay if you go off a little bit on a tangent and ramble a little bit and not have to like edit that out, because there's just like a natural engagement happening. Whereas here, the idea is to ensure that the video by the end is concise, not using any more words than necessary, at least in my view, like for my videos, for like the final product I like to see for myself. And the funny thing is that I watch a lot of YouTubers and specifically BookTubers who are really good at just sitting and chatting, and they rarely edit, or they edit like here and there, but you can see that there are very few edits throughout most of their videos. And I'm very jealous of these people because either A, they're just really good at putting words together into sentences in a way that already sounds fairly eloquent. I am not good at that. I'm good at that in writing, but it takes my brain much longer to work out what sounds good than the time it takes for me to actually use my voice in the moment. So I'm not talented in that regard. And I really enjoy people who can film videos in that way. But there's also people who speak a little bit more like how I would naturally speak, but they have a certain presence and they're not nervous in front of the camera. Like it's not that I'm nervous, I just feel unnatural, and therefore I think that shows. So I need to edit myself a little bit more than people who feel like they're talking to somebody while they're talking to the camera. And so I aspire someday to be able to do that. But for right now, I have to also kind of recognize what works for me, and everybody's a little bit different. Everyone's process is going to be a little bit different depending upon what their skill set, what their talents, like their more natural talents are, even though of course you can practice at something and get a lot better at it. So that's been my overall struggle with filming videos, but it has gotten a little bit better. The funny thing about when I do multiple takes of something is that I usually end up just taking the first take because it sounded the most natural, or I end up taking the last take because if I've said the same thing multiple times, by the end I just get frustrated. Approaches to defining life significantly, and I kind of just like say whatever and give up. And then that ends up sounding better than all the previous takes. So maybe I need to kind of do a little self-assessment, and that will potentially help me to cut down on my filming time. There is one video that I filmed after a couple glasses of wine. Like I think I was coming home from dinner and I was like, I need to get this video done. And so I just filmed it then. And that was one of the easiest videos to film, I think, just because I wasn't overthinking things when I was filming. But I can't have a couple glasses of wine before every video. My tea will do. I don't want to, form that habit. So that was one of the easiest. I would say the easiest one to film was the only vlog that I have done for this channel, but that is also my worst performing video. It has, I think, at time of filming, like 29 views. So I don't know what that says about how much I should or shouldn't script myself. It hasn't fully deterred me from doing slightly more unscripted videos. That's what I'm doing with this video, so we'll see how that goes. But I think I just need to kind of find the right balance. The other issue with filming is that I can't always control the environment. The second to last video I did, I believe, I sat here for like 30 minutes just waiting for somebody who was using a chainsaw next door to finish whatever they were working on in the yard. I think a giant tree trunk was just demolished next door. And there was another video I filmed, which was kind of in a different location by the Christmas tree in my living room. And that one, I was just so frustrated, even though I was enjoying that actual topic and enjoying the process of filming more than usual. When I actually had a chance to speak, I had to constantly pause for the lawnmower that the other neighbor was using. And that was incredibly frustrating for me. the lesson here. Like in filming, as in life, you're not always in the driver's seat. You kind of just have to go with the flow and do the best you can. The last step in the process, which is the editing, has been honestly the biggest surprise for me because I kind of expected to find myself bogged down by the editing process, to find it kind of boring and a little bit annoying or frustrating. But it turns out I kind of love editing. I think I expected not to like it because it's one of the very technical aspects of making YouTube videos. However, what I found is that video editing feels a lot like editing written work to me. And I love editing written work. Just kind of the process of taking something that's a little bit rough and cleaning it up, perfecting it, the puzzle pieces of like moving sentences around, cutting this part out, making this a little tighter, and then reading the final product and having it now sound really fluid and beautiful. I love the rewarding feeling of that for writing. And I found that there's a similar feeling, for me at least, when I'm editing a video. Usually I'm able to use editing to kind of bring to life that final product that I had in mind, that vision. And that is really, really rewarding. Like it gives me a little bit of an endorphin buzz. So that's probably been the most surprising part of this process for me. Okay, chapter 2, I'd like to start with the negatives to get those out of the way and we can end on a more positive note. The first negative of this experience, this journey so far for me, has been the fact that it kind of like triggers my over analytical brain. It triggers my overthinking. I am the type of person that tends to overanalyze to a degree that is sometimes detrimental to myself, to a degree that slows me down too much or that causes me some degree of anxiety. So that's something that I've been trying significantly to avoid in, the last few years of my life and have been fairly successful at it. And then once I've started something new for which I have kind of a big learning curve, that overthinking immediately makes an appearance. There's so many analytics to review on YouTube, and I realize now that it's really best to ignore most of those analytics, at least for a very, very small, young channel, because YouTube doesn't even have enough data to give you like very accurate analytics at this stage, or at least at my stage. And the best thing is really to just kind of look at views, if anything, and use that as a barometer for like what is and isn't working. However, even then, sometimes it's really hard to find a pattern. Like there are certain videos that I filmed that have done, relative for my channel pretty well, like that have gotten, over 100 views. And I'll film another video that I think is very similar in tone and topic to that, and that I think has been equally successful in terms of all of the other elements, and then that one will perform significantly worse. So it's really difficult to figure out because there's so many factors involved. Like, was it the title that wasn't working? Was it the thumbnail that wasn't working? Was it those first 30 seconds, that intro that kind of turned people off? Was it the overall presence, tone, vibe? Was it just that this particular week there's like a holiday coming up and nobody's on YouTube? Like, who knows, right? There's just way too many factors, and it's really not worth trying to figure out why this worked and why that didn't, at least when the channel is so new and you're still learning just how to film the videos, how to edit them, how to get them up. So I think that's been an important thing that I've learned. And it has helped me. I think in like the third month of this 3-month journey, I've gotten a lot better at ignoring a lot of the analytics and not really worrying so much about why this video did better than that one or worse. And when you start a YouTube channel, most likely at some point you're going to look something up that is going to feed you a video from some YouTube guru. And then that will just like be in your algorithm, and you're going to get tons of videos from tons of YouTube experts. And that might also make you overthink things because there are so many tips, there's so much advice out there. And yes, a lot of them are repetitious. Like there are a lot of people saying the same type of thing, but overall it just becomes kind of overload of advice. And so it's important to also limit my consumption of that as well. The second major negative for me is simply the time commitment. I only post one video a week, and yet it does end up feeling a little bit like you're on a hamster wheel. By the time that you finish uploading a video, you immediately already need to be kind of scripting your next one, or you're going to fall behind. At least that's what I find with my schedule. I work a full-time teaching job on a campus. And I also have a part-time adjuncting job online, plus, all of my other life stuff. And I find it very difficult, given how long it takes me to film these videos, to fit in YouTube plus work plus leisure time plus health, right? Like just personal health. Sadly, and just being completely honest, I have been working out a lot less in the last 3 months. I have been eating a lot less healthy because I have less time to cook. It's not that I don't have the time at all, like potentially I could do it. It's just that at some point I'm so exhausted from the day that I end up just, being lazy about it. So that is something that I definitely have to find more balance in.
I'm editing while at work, having just finished a slice of pizza and about to move on to my chocolate bar. So this is what I'm saying.
I recognize that a lot of this is self-imposed pressure. Like I don't have to post the video every week. And I know, of course, there will come a time where I will have to kind of skip a week or skip 2 weeks or whatever it may be. And that needs to be okay with me. But because I'm still so new at this, I kind of want to commit. And I filmed a video recently while I still had the flu. I thought I was kind of recovering, but I really was just like no longer contagious. The second I still wasn't feeling great, and I feel like it shows in the video. So in retrospect, I probably should not have bothered filming that video, but it was one of my recaps. And I was like, I can't miss the monthly recap. Like I'm already late on it. So I think that I need to put a little bit less pressure on myself while still ensuring that I stay committed to the channel. So I'm giving myself maybe another month, and then I have got to get back to my routine, and that has to come before posting videos. But I'm hoping that by then I will be able to do both without feeling like I'm not getting enough sleep, because I'm the type of person that if I don't get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep, I feel like a zombie the entire day. And 7 is a minimum. Like I really need 8. So that's one thing that I know I will prioritize no matter what. Last thing about the time commitment is kind of ironic because it's a BookTube channel. I have less time for reading, and I don't find that I'm reading less. I'm still reading quite a bit, at least compared to what I normally would read, but it is harder to find that time. So there's that. Okay, let's move on to the good stuff. Even though I spoke a lot about the difficulty, the struggle of filming videos and all of that, and the time commitment, I think that at the same time, it's kind of a positive because I'm experiencing what you might call friction. I literally just discussed this with students in class last night because I was teaching like a freshman year seminar, which is about, developing the habits and the study skills and that type of thing that you need for your college journey. And I kind of have had to teach myself that lesson as well. This idea that friction and struggle are necessary, that there are circumstances in which efficiency and ease are not what you want because the struggle is kind of the point, like the process is the point, because you can't really learn, or at least you can't learn deeply if you don't have to like genuinely grapple with something. And for quite a while, I feel like I've been in a comfort zone because most things that I've been doing in my life are things that I'm generally good at, that I'm very well practiced in. And so this YouTube journey has been something that has forced me to struggle a little bit. And in that struggle, I feel like I am growing. I'm learning certain things about myself, and I am definitely learning specific skills. It's also really nice to develop new skill sets. And specifically for filming YouTube videos, there's kind of a marriage of technological skills with creativity, and I really like that a lot. Even though, as I mentioned earlier, I have a little bit less time than usual for reading, I am reading more widely and I'm reading more intentionally because I know that I'm going to be talking about the books that I'm reading and my experience of reading these books, and that I'm going to be sharing some thoughts and analysis. And so it has kind of brought me back to the way I used to read when I was studying. And I love studying. So that's really been, for me, a rewarding and enjoyable aspect of this entire process. The final thing that I'll highlight as a positive is the community. And I think that probably most people on BookTube would say something similar. this is kind of a rare corner of the internet where usually the comment section is not full of bots or people just being rude to one another. And that is so refreshing. And I think that, I mean, I'm sure that it happens every now and again. And I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what's going on Book Talk. Like, I'm sure there's a little bit of drama there on occasion. But here on BookTube, it has been just a really warm welcome. I feel like I've already made certain connections with people that feel genuine, even though they're virtual. And I really look forward to meeting more booktubers and meeting more potential followers who maybe don't film their own videos but have a lot of engagement with your thoughts. And I just love talking about books. Like, it's why I went into teaching English. I wanted to talk about literature, I wanted to talk about reading. And so this is just an extension of that in a much less academic sense. And I appreciate that. And I just really value those connections, especially as such a new YouTuber. Every single person that comments on my videos, every single person who subscribes to my channel, or even who replies to a comment that I've made on their video, it really has been one of the joys of this YouTube experience for me. And just meeting like-minded people from all over the world, because I have noticed that BookTube seems to be a pretty international space. And I love that. I am very excited to meet other YouTubers from other countries, see what they're reading, see what kind of bookshops they visit. It's really fun for me. It's kind of like virtual travel a little bit. Even though I probably spent a lot of time talking about the frustrations and the uncertainties, the truth is that the good really has outweighed the bad for me, and I'm genuinely happy that I started this channel. The biggest challenge now is finding a sustainable balance between my commitment to the channel and just personal health and leisure so that I don't burn myself out. I'm looking forward to developing so many video ideas, and will be trying to not overanalyze. The goal here is just to keep learning and to enjoy the process. If you're a booktuber or a YouTuber in any niche, really, I'd love to hear what your early experience was like. And if you're thinking about starting a channel, what's holding you back, or what do you hope to get out of it? Let's chat in the comments. Thank you so much once again for joining me. Bye-bye.